video, I'm going to show you how you can build an inexpensive sump for a reef tank. But before we get started on the build, I'm going to go over some of the materials that you're going to need. The first thing you're going to need on the list is going to be an aquarium. Now this is a brand new 30-gallon size tank. You can use any size that you want as long as it fits underneath your tank, of course. If you use a used aquarium, be sure to clean the inside of the glass very well. Scrape it with a razor blade even, but be careful not to damage any of the silicone sealed edges on the tank. Fill it up with water first, make sure that it doesn't leak, then drain it out. The other materials, going to need some silicone sealant. Be sure that it is aquarium safe or you will kill your fish and corals. Some super glue. I prefer to use super glue gel in an application like this. It just works better. Some masking tape, both narrow and wide. A tape measure. And some cut acrylic Lexan panels. Last but not least, some paper towel for any spills. A couple more items that you may need depending on how your sump is going to be designed is a glass drilling bit with an electric drill and a bulkhead fitting. Now you would need these if you're going to have the drain from the aquarium coming into the side of your sump. You don't need to do this if you're going to have the drain line come down into the top of the sump. A little bit later in the video, I'm going to show you how you can drill the glass in the side. Now that we've gone over the materials that you're going to need for your sump, let's go over the design. Now if you're unsure on how your sump should be designed, there's a wealth of information that can be found on the internet on sump design. But this design has worked well for me. I have made several of them for different tanks, and I'll go over that right now. This first area here is going to be where our live rock will be. The second chamber here is going to be where the protein skimmer will be located. And then the final chamber right here is where our return pump will be. Before the return pump, I also am going to have a bubble trap built into the sump to cut down on microbubbles. Now what I have done is I have taken the narrow masking tape and I have cut it to size for what size acrylic panel that you're going to need, and I have placed them on the sides of the aquarium right here. This first panel will be 14 inches tall, running from the very bottom of the tank up to the top. This second panel will be 9 inches tall, running from the bottom of the tank up to the top. This next panel right here for the bubble trap runs from the top of the aquarium down to approximately 1 inch before the bottom of the aquarium. And this last piece right here is a 6-inch piece, which is going to determine how deep the water will be for our return pump. Now this area right here that is for our protein skimmer, I said that the panel needed to be 9 inches tall. That size is going to depend on what type of skimmer that you are using. Mine requires a 9-inch depth of water to run. Yours may require a different size. So that means that the water is going to come into this chamber here. It's going to mix in with the live rock. It's going to go up and over this first panel right here. It is going to go into this chamber here, which is where our protein skimmer will be located. Then it is going to travel underneath the bubble trap and up into this area right here where our return pump will return it back to the tank. Now that you've completed the planning stages for your sump, it's time to cut the panels that will go on the inside of your sump. You can use glass if you want to, but I'm going to use acrylic in this situation. Take your tape measure and measure on the inside of the tank from the front to the back. In this case, this measures 11.5 inches. And take your sheet of acrylic, cut a strip that will be 11.5 inches wide. And then depending on what size your chambers are going to be here, I have this first chamber is 14 inches wide, followed by 9, followed by another 14-inch piece, followed by another 6-inch piece. cut your strip that you made, 11.5 inches in this application. Now cut those down to the sizes that you need. This is the 9-inch piece. It'll fit right in here. And I have two more 14-inch pieces, one to go here and one to go right here. Now if you decided that you wanted to install a bulkhead fitting into the side of the sump, now would be the time you need to drill that hole before you install all of these panels. There is one item that I forgot to mention that you'll need if you're going to be drilling the glass, and that is a small jar of plumber's putty. And we'll go over how you use that in just a minute. So let's go out to the shop and do some drilling. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, now we're ready to drill the hole in the side of our sump for the bulkhead fitting. This is a 1-inch bulkhead. So you can see here it says that it requires a 1 3/4 inch diameter hole to be installed. That translates into a 45 millimeter glass diamond encrusted hole saw. I got this one off of eBay. I'm sure that you can find them at various other places on the net. Okay, now we need to determine where we are going to place our bulkhead. And this spot right here looks pretty good to me. And right underneath where we are going to be drilling the hole, I want to install a couple pieces of duct tape and secure that pretty firmly to the inside glass. That way when the disc of glass that is going to be cut out of the side of the aquarium here, when it gets cut all the way through, it won't fall all the way down into the bottom of our tank and possibly crack the tank. Okay, now that we know where we are going to drill our hole for our bulkhead, we need to take some of the plumber's putty, shape it into pieces like so, and form them around where we are going to be doing the drilling. What this is going to do is it is going to act like a wall, and we're going to build a little swimming pool to hold some water that will cool the hole drilling saw that we're going to use. Doesn't have to be real fancy, just as long as it holds the water. And there you go, no leaks. One tip that I want to mention: when you're drilling glass, you need to use a high-speed drill, and you have to use very, very light pressure on the drill itself. If you apply too much pressure, you're going to risk cracking the glass, and then you're going to be starting all over again. This is also going to be very messy, so you don't want to do it in the house on nice carpet or anything like that. I have this out in my shop, and I'm even going to add some towels around here to keep the water spray down to a minimum. More than likely though, you are going to get a little wet. And let's start. And we're through. Peeling off the tape. There you have one 1 3/4 inch diameter hole cut in this glass tank. One thing that I forgot to mention: if you want to install a bulkhead fitting into the side of the aquarium, but you're leery on drilling the hole yourself, you can take the aquarium to any local glass shop, and for a small fee, they'll cut the hole in the side for you.